Friday, May 12, 2023. Today on The Young and the Restless, Harmony meets Dom. Billy handles a disgruntled Connor, and Daniel tells a version of the truth. At Crimson Lights, Daniel tells Michael, "We're going to the Abbott house." Michael asks, "Is this about Diane?" Daniel says it's about proving once and for all that she didn't kill his mother. At Society, Billy says to Johnny, "I wonder what's keeping Connor and Chelsea." Johnny says Connor's been avoiding him lately. "Maybe there's something going on that no one's told me about." Billy confesses that his uncle Adam is having another baby, a girl. Johnny guesses, with Sally? Billy confirms it. Johnny makes cracks about Katie and hopes Connor makes out better with his sister. Maybe they can trade. Connor appears and asks, "Trade what?" Billy says he was just telling Johnny that he's expecting a new baby sister. Johnny chortles, "Welcome to the Big Brothers Club." Connor scoffs and wants to go home. Billy tries to order, but Connor snaps that he wants nothing at all. Chelsea's eyebrows go up. Billy does a funny routine trying to convince them to try pineapple on their pizza. Connor asks, "Is this the part where we do the pretending?" Chelsea wonders what he's talking about. Billy suggests he and Connor get some fresh air. At the penthouse, Devin introduces Harmony to Dom. She gushes that he's just the most precious thing in the world and is all hers today. After Dom's put down, Harmony tells Devin how proud she is of him, especially as a dad. Talk turns to Tucker making an effort. Harmony feels that Devin has to give him some credit. Not everyone is cut out to be a father or take to it as naturally as Neil did. Devin asks if she really minds him changing his last name. He's not going to forget where he came from. Harmony tells Devin he can call himself the Crown Prince of Genoa City. He'll still be her son. They talk about Dom, and Devin says it was nice to watch her playing with him today. He remembers Harmony playing with him at the same age. Harmony muses, "I did the best with what I had." Devin smiles, "Those are good memories. The times that were good, I'll never forget." Harmony is sorry. There were a lot of not-so-good times. Devin says that's okay. She's here today, and Dom gets to have her in his life. Devin assures her the fun times he remembers always put a smile on his face. At the Abbott mansion, Tucker sits down with Jack and tells him he feels like he's been called to the principal's office. "Was that your grapefruit I ate this morning?" he asks. Jack demands to know his excuse for what he did to Diane. Tucker asks him to be more specific. Jack asks why he tried to convince her to leave town and jeopardize her freedom. Tucker just illustrated her choices, which are to re-traumatize them with a public trial or leave. Jack wonders if he gave the little pep talk at Ashley's behest. Tucker has a history with Diane and cares about her. She's charged with murder. "Do you think I'm a bad guy for telling her to get out while she can?" Jack reminds him that Diane is innocent. Tucker says, as if that matters. He claims the murder charge will trickle right down to Harrison. Is he sure his company will survive his association with her? If Jack really wants to help her, he should do whatever he can to get her the hell out of this place. Tucker puts on shades and complains, "Everyone's so tense around here, bro." Jack shakes his head. Later, Kyle arrives at home, and Jack tells him Diane is upstairs resting. Jack complains about Tucker, but then asks about Summer. Kyle says she keeps taking off on him, this time with Harrison. He thinks that the less she knows about him trying to dig up info on Stark, the better. The doorbell rings. It's Daniel, who asks Kyle if Jack is home. Kyle lets him in, and Michael follows him through the door. Daniel asks, "Where's Summer?" Kyle says she's out. Daniel's glad. She's not ready for what he's about to say. Jack asks, "What's going on, Daniel?" Daniel announces, "Phyllis is alive." Outside Society, Billy tells Connor he knows it's a big deal to have a new sibling. He assures him that his parents won't love him any less. Connor snorts, "I know that. I'm not 5. Billy asks him to tell him what the problem is then. Connor says, "'Cause my life is picture perfect." Billy asks him to be specific as to what he's upset about. Connor asks, "Does it even matter?" Inside Society, Johnny tells Chelsea he's sorry. He's not great at being a big brother. Chelsea assures him that Katie is lucky to have him, and so is Connor, even though he doesn't act like it all the time. Johnny announces, "I'll be right back." At Devin's place, Harmony remembers a park she used to take him to that had abandoned toy cars. They waited 3 days to see if anyone claimed them before he brought them home. "You took such good care of them, like they were gold. That's when I knew who you were, a man who was willing to wait for his blessings." She thinks the cars were meant for him, just like the life he's created is meant for him. Dom will get the things that money can't buy from his family. He's a very lucky little man indeed. At the Abbott house, Daniel says, "You don't understand. I've seen my mother." Michael shrugs. I've seen your mother too. In my thoughts, Daniel is talking about in real life. He got a phone call the other night from someone and went to meet them in the park. It was her. Kyle asks why she wouldn't call Summer. Daniel doesn't know. Maybe she thought Summer was too loyal to him and Jack. Michael asks if she told him what happened that night at the gala. Daniel says she told him that Stark had concocted this whole scheme to take Diane down, just as they all suspected. Stark coerced her to help him and threatened her. Eventually, she gave in and did what he demanded. Jack protests. We all saw her collapse. Daniel says it was all staged. When she tried to come back, Stark attacked her. He had set up the revenge, the money, and the disappearance perfectly, and wasn't about to have her ruin it. Jeremy told her that she was already dead and was just another body to dispose of, so she did what she had to do. She grabbed a pair of scissors. Michael gulps. Phyllis killed Stark. Daniel hollers. It was self-defense. Kyle says, this is insane. Michael adds, and yet it's the only thing that's made sense so far. Jack says this is the irrefutable proof that Diane is innocent. I want to move on this. I want her name cleared and the charges dropped. Michael warns him not to get ahead of himself. He asks Daniel, where's Phyllis now? Daniel shakes his head. I have no idea. Jack sits down and says he doesn't know what to think. Kyle marvels, Phyllis, alive, all this time. Michael asks if he has any proof. Did you take a picture? Daniel wasn't prepared. Kyle wants to tell Summer, but Daniel holds out his hand. Don't do that. This news could break Summer's heart. He doesn't want her wondering why their mom came to him and not to her. Jack scoffs at the idea she'd get hurt feelings. People's lives are at stake, Daniel. Kyle asks, keep this from her for how long? Jack rails, Phyllis put us through hell, all so she could put Diane behind bars for a crime she didn't commit. When do the lies and deceptions stop? Outside society, Johnny tries to help Billy with Connor, who erupts, I'm fine. It's great. Can we go back inside? Tucker arrives at Devin's place and greets Harmony. Devin appreciates him getting in touch with his mom and getting her to Neil's party. Tucker's just glad to see them together. He asks where Dom is and learns he's asleep. They laugh about the kid being skilled in musical instruments. Harmony thinks it's time Devin got back to basics. Music used to be his life. She urges Tucker to tell Devon to get back to what matters. Tucker isn't in a position to offer unsolicited advice, so Harmony does it. You need to get back to your calling. At the Abbott mansion, Jack can't believe that Phyllis, who went on and on about how despicable Diane was for leaving her son and loved ones to mourn, did exactly the same thing. Daniel tells Jack she was forced to do what she did. She wasn't herself. Everyone that she loved deserted her. No one believed her. Jack exclaims, why didn't she ask for help? Daniel retorts, that's easy. Would you have helped her if she'd asked? Jack hangs his head. Daniel says Phyllis regrets what she did, but she's been punished enough. By them and by herself. She made some short-sighted choices to trust the wrong man. We can't let her down now. At Devin's place, he wonders how he's supposed to go back to running a soundboard when he's running a business and raising the genius upstairs. Harmony thinks it's a shame to let it all go to waste. Devin's just focused on the new family dynamic he has going with Abby and being the best father he can be to Dom. Tucker says, as you should. They hear Dom in the monitor and Devin goes to get him. Harmony tells Tucker how much she loves their grandchild. At the Abbott house, Jack tells Daniel he's not responsible for the choices Phyllis made. Daniel asks, are you sure about that? Because as far as I can tell, this all started when you wouldn't listen to her about Diane. Jack protests that she could have turned to Lauren or Michael. He wants Daniel to get his mother to come back, and they'll let the police straighten it out. Daniel retorts, really? So we just want her arrested and locked up even though she's already been traumatized by Stark. Jack mutters, it was good enough for Diane. Daniel replies, so was your forgiveness, Jack. I hope you'll remember that when my mother's return is the only thing standing between freedom and a life behind bars for Diane. Michael intervenes as things get heated. He asks Daniel if he's heard from his mother since she saw her in the park. Daniel says, no, I haven't. Kyle tells his dad they need to call Christine. There has to be a way to use Daniel's statement to get Diane cleared. Daniel adds, and to clear my mother of any wrongdoing since Stark was behind this whole thing. Now that he's dead, the case is dead, right? Michael warns that as much as he'd like this all to go away, it's not going to play out the way Daniel's hoping. Outside society, Connor challenges Johnny. He hated his mom when he found out she was his bio mom. Johnny admits that at first it sucked. Now I love hanging out with you and her. Connor says, because now you'll have someone else to boss around and lecture. I was talking to Billy, not to you. At Devon's place, Harmony goes on to Tucker about Devon's God-given talent. You should put it out there for the world to enjoy. Tucker will stick with no comment. He's still on shaky ground. Harmony hopes things are still okay with him and Ashley since she came back on the scene. They listen to Devon singing to Dom through the monitor. Harmony guesses if he has to put music aside, at least it's for the best reason. Tucker reflects that their relationship wasn't all sunshine and roses, but at least they got Devon out of it, and now Dom. Harmony agrees, I feel like we're the lucky ones. Outside society, Johnny wonders why Connor's mad at him. What's the big deal, anyway? Billy says it's a big deal to Connor. He warns the kid that families have a way of injecting themselves into your business. Billy tells Connor that he's got a lot going on, and it must feel out of control. If he needs some time to process, that's fine, but he should talk to his mother. Connor fumes, if it will get everybody to back off, fine. He walks back inside. At the Abbott mansion, Kyle thinks it's all going to work out. Daniel's willing to sign an affidavit or whatever to prove Diane's not a killer. Michael hisses, I need evidence. What I don't need is the word of a grieving son who's just seen his mother a few days after she purportedly died. He warns there's a mountain of evidence that refutes his story. If he goes in talking about apparitions from beyond the grave, he's asking for trouble, aiding and abetting, obstruction of justice charges, and your knowledge of how Stark was killed could make you look like a suspect. Kyle says only Phyllis can clear her name now. Daniel argues if Phyllis hadn't defended herself, she'd be the one floating face down in a lake. Michael says he's thrilled if Phyllis is alive, but he's defending Diane. Everything is a long shot without evidence. Jack wants to bounce some hypotheticals off Christine and tell Diane. Michael argues that they can't tell anyone about this. We have to be very careful and take it a step at a time.